Hi, and welcome to yet another edition of Backstage with the Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest. My name is Jo Painter, and I want to thank the Berks Arts Council for making this series possible. We have fun backstage. We've met the most interesting people, and they're people that we often see on stage, or maybe side stages, volunteers, or maybe we don't see them at all because they're an integral part, perhaps, of transportation for the artists coming back and forth. This is a group of gentlemen, though, that I bet you have seen and maybe you just didn't know. Hey, you thought they were with the band, because you are. This is the Berks Horns, and we are so proud to have you here in the studio at the People Chronicles and to meet you. So let me introduce you properly. Mike Anderson.
That's correct. Mike
I don't even have to do this. There I am.
No, you don't.
I don't. You got to do it all right. And, well, John Lowe's, he's going to get that on. There you go. There you go. Hi, John.
How's it going?
It's going wonderful. You all hooked up now?
Yeah,
You're good?
we're good.
All right.
We're good.
All right. And Rob Diener. Hi, Rob.
Hi, thanks for having us.
It is certainly my pleasure. So, collectively, you are the Berks Horns.
We are.
And you play what?
I play saxophone.
I play trombone.
Trumpet.
So, did you guys know each other for a long time? Or did you get together because of Berks Jazz Fest?
Well, I can start that off.
Okay.
I think we got together because of the Berks Jazz Fest back many years ago, 2001.
Yeah.
John Ernesto approached me and said that Greg Karukas was looking for a horn section, that when he travels to different cities, he tries to get horn sections together to back up his group. And did John know anybody? So he asked me, and I said, sure. And then I thought, I need to find a trumpet player and a trombone player to round out the section. And because of that, I hooked up with Rob.
Well, how did you know Rob prior?
Well, I knew our original bone player, Bill Miller, I had played with, and I called him and I asked if he would do it. And I said, do you know of any trumpet players? And he said, yeah, we both play in a bunch of funk together. And I said, yeah, I went out to hear him. I said, that's great, let's do it. So that we put that section together. In the meantime, John had been playing with Rob with some other groups, and John has replaced Bill in the group. And we've been playing with this combination of us for what, about 8 years maybe?
I think so.
Yeah.
Maybe
This
longer.
combination, yeah.
So there have been different people. This is transition from the first Berks Horns to the present Berks Horns. Is that a fair statement?
It is, but it's minimal. I mean, this is maybe it's only one change originally. Now, sometimes we'll add another couple horns on the section.
So you're the core group.
We're the core group. That's correct.
Gotcha. Have you played musical instruments all your life? You've been...
Yes. Yeah, since 4th grade.
Oh, wait a minute. 4th grade. That's like the magic year.
Yes.
In
Me
4th
too.
grade, everybody
Yeah.
gets an instrument,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And thanks to, in part, at least here in Berks County, to the Reading Musical Foundation,
Yeah.
because they put an instrument on all the kids. Did you start in 4th grade too?
I did.
And did you start with the, I'm going to call it the flute. It's not called the flute.
Recorder.
The recorder.
No.
Doesn't everybody start with the recorder?
No.
You guys are like, no, man, that's not my instrument. So, did you get to pick the instrument in 4th grade?
Yeah. They came around like, well, I do this for a living now. I'm an elementary band teacher in the Reading School District, so I actually do this now. But the teachers would come around and show all the different instruments, and you could pick which one you wanted to sign up for.
Did you stick with the one you picked with, or did you switch?
Yeah, nope. I've played trombone since 4th grade. Yep.
And how about you?
Yeah, I stuck with the same one. Yep.
Did you start in 4th grade?
I did. I started with clarinet first.
Ah.
And someone convinced me that if I switched over to saxophone, I could get in the jazz band and take it a little further.
Apparently someone was right.
They were right. I'm happy that happened.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, over the years, and even when you started, did you play in different bands prior to the Berks Horns when you were in high school and you went on? How did that evolve?
I mean, I've been playing in different bands. In college, sub with groups and things like that, like where I went to school. And then since I've been out of college, I've played with, I don't even know how many different bands, to
Did
be
it
honest with
start
you.
with the marching band?
We did that in school, and jazz band and concert band and all those things, when we were in school.
Did you as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I did a lot of the festivals, like districts and
Yeah.
regionals, and of course all the things involved with like my home school, Boyertown.
Right.
Yeah.
So how much did that foundation benefit you, I should say, or give you what you needed to be able to do what you do now? And to be honest, you're an extraordinarily talented group because you can just step in with any of these artists that are coming into Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest, and they're saying, we don't have the whole group, we need a horn section. And you're there, and you're picking it up. That's an extraordinary talent. How much did all of this groundwork in school, the concert bands, the district bands, benefit?
Yeah, it taught me how to discipline myself to read music, which is really what we do now. Sometimes we'll get an arrangement just about as we walk on stage.
Really?
Yeah, most of the time we get it ahead of time, but we can be surprised. The gig we're playing this festival, it may be a big surprise. It's jazz gets the blues, and sometimes
that
the
sounds
blues.
fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's we're playing in a certain key, and we put this section together as we travel, on stage.
So you switch keys?
Well, yeah, they'll announce.
No, wait a minute. I see the look on your face.
Yeah, but no,
Absolutely.
Well, like Mike's saying, is sometimes we go in and they call different things that we weren't expecting, and
okay.
we just kind of come up with parts on the spot sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Improvise.
Yeah.
Improvising isn't necessarily easy. So where do you learn? How do you learn that skill?
Well, Rob and I actually come from a little bit, I guess, a different way. I think both of us played a lot by ear when we were younger.
For years.
For years, we played by ear and just kind of.
So by ear first?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did a lot of that. But then Rob and I both studied with a jazz teacher actually down in Philadelphia for a number of years, Jimmy Amadei. So that's where we got a much better basis for understanding how to improvise and solo and read chord changes and all those kinds of things.
So that's where the reading came in.
As far as improvising,
yeah.
As far as regular reading of music, I mean, we've been doing that since we were kids, and learning.
John was the guy that sent me to gym, as a matter of
fact. Yeah,
I came off a tour of a Broadway musical for 9 months. I came back. John was sounding really good. I said, "What are you doing, man? Who are you studying with?" And he said, "This guy in Philly, Jim Amadei." And I said, "Well, can I have his number?" And he said, "Yeah." So we were very privileged to have that same teacher. Yeah.
And that helps school us, really understanding, the more details of improvising, really understanding it. So,
when you were going through the process in school, I want to go back to that for any youngsters who are listening, even if you're in high school and maybe you're thinking about this is a drag, this is work. If it gets to that point, is there something that you look back on that at the time you said, man, I don't like this anymore. It's I don't want to practice it for whatever reason, that now you go, boy, am I glad I did that, or I understand why I needed to do that now.
Yeah, a year into it, I was in 5th grade, and I was like, I'd rather play baseball, and I got lazy, and I didn't want to practice, so I said to my dad, I said, I'm going to quit trumpet. He said, no, you're not.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I said. I said, really? And he said, no, you're going to give it a good effort first. And if after a year of trying really hard, if you don't like it, but he said, you're not off the hook. So in that year, my sister bought me a bunch of recordings. And that was, once I heard like Maynard Ferguson and Maurice Andre, I was like, I can't do any of this yet. And I was like, I said yet. So, it gave me something to work towards.
Yeah, same with me. About a year, for a year I was struggling with it, saying I don't want to do this anymore. And my mom, who was working a part-time job so she could pay for the clarinet things, said, no, you're gonna stick with it for a while. And you get past a certain hurdle and you say, hey, this is actually kind of fun. Once you get to a point, and I was listening to a lot of jazz that or old big band records that my mom had, and I got with a rock group pretty early in my career with Fred Bernardo and those guys, and that's where I learned to improvise, just playing all kinds of rock
with other musicians.
Yeah, and my style is different than these guys, but that's great. I'm an R&B kind of guy, and so are these guys, but they understand the jazz solos a lot better than I do. So. It's fun. It's a nice. I'm the old man in the group, so
You should be proud of that. You've arrived.
It is, but I'm happy to be playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And did you have a moment?
I don't know if I did. I mean, I really was into it from a young age. Like I really liked it. I guess, yeah. I mean, I probably around the same time, probably about a year and a half, 2 years in.
So it's early on.
Yeah. Well, as a teacher, I see it too. The kids kind of hit a wall, and just about every student really does. And kind of remember some of those same conversations with my mom and dad. Like, you're going to go practice. It's like, well, I don't really want to. It's like, I don't really care. We're paying for this. You need to do it.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the end of it. But that's what pushes you on through. So and sometimes you need that, especially as a kid. You need that adult to say, you need to have this discipline to follow through with this. And if you made a commitment, follow through on the commitment. And a lot of times once you get past those hurdles and your playing starts to improve and you start playing in various groups and you're hearing different types of music, I mean, that's when it really...
It's when the fun kicks in?
Yeah, it absolutely does. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
And both of you are paying it forward, so to speak? You're teaching?
Yeah, oh yes, yep.
Yeah.
And where do you teach?
I teach at Kimberton Waldorf School. I teach all the brass there, and at Community Music School in Collegeville.
And you said you went to school in Boyertown, so you were in the band in Boyertown, is that correct?
Yeah, they had a great music department. Absolutely.
And how about you, John?
I teach, like I said, in the Reading School District. I've been there about 17 years now.
And you're from this area?
Yes, I went to Twin Valley High School, actually. So
Good band program?
Yeah, absolutely. Very good band program. Yeah, absolutely.
So now when you look back, obviously you must be thanking Mom and Dad for pushing you. If it wasn't for Berks Horns, what kind of opportunities, or should I say not if it wasn't for, what kind of opportunities, because you've made Berks Horns, has the Jazz Fest given you? Like maybe some artists that you may have played with over the years that you thought, wow, I got to play with them. Maybe you didn't think you would.
Moment. Yeah, there was early on in my playing career, all I played was classical music. That was my absolute passion. I love classical music. Didn't even think about playing any other style of music. I mean, I was the guy listening to Bach at age 12 and that sort of thing.
What's wrong with you?
That's interesting, because I never think of horns with classical
but
music.
one year I ended up at the Peanut Bar and I saw Rick Braun play. It was like when they were doing the jazz jams there. And I remember sitting there and I was thinking, well, that's neat. I was like, I wouldn't mind trying whatever that is they're doing. That looks like fun. And so, as far as, I had already been playing for a living, but when I saw that, I was like, oh wait, I need to maybe shift gears. So when we actually got to play with Rick years later, I told Rick the story, and he always laughs. He's like, wow, that's really cool, man. He's like, because he remembered meeting me back at the Peanut Bar. Because I said, oh, I'm a trumpet player, classical trumpet player from Reading. He goes, wow, do you make enough money to make a living? No. I said, well, I said I'd try it. But so playing with him, and then just even having that direction through the Berks Jazz Fest and seeing that, I was like, wow, there's a whole thing out there I don't know about yet.
So exposure, it was exposure for you to a different genre of music.
Absolutely.
Is there an opportunity that has presented itself because of Berks Horns and Jazz Fest that maybe you would not have had without this?
Well, I think for me, it's made me a better musician and a better player over the years. It's forced me to make sure that I'm still diligent, I think, in my craft, and because there's an expectation, like we said, like you said, when we go in, we just jump in and we have to be able to morph into these groups, and of course these guys are the best of the best, so we have to be able to hang, with them.
So you still practice, I presume?
Nearly every day, or as close as I can. I try to. Yeah, I really do try. It's not easy when you have a day gig, and trying to fit time
and a baby.
You have a not quite 1-year-old at the house, so it makes it a little difficult.
Don't you have to be quiet, Daddy?
She doesn't complain. She sleeps through it, so she's used to it. So but it's hard.
We do too.
We sleep through it. But it's difficult. But it makes you keep up with it. So I think knowing every year that I have those gigs, it really makes you keep your standard up, and what you expect out of yourself, and not to be content just to plateau, but to keep trying to improve each year. So.
Do you see the fact that this is still coming into Berks County opportunities for your students to get the same chance that you've had to be able to become a better musician by playing with artists like this? It's providing educational opportunities and chance to mingle?
It does provide the educational. And anytime there's music that kids can go see, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what?
Especially live music. Not a DJ.
And in intimate situations.
Yeah. I think I would be a better player had they had this festival back when I was learning.
Really?
Because they have the I guess they call it All-Star Band from
the high
different
school
high
All-Star
schools.
Band.
I was in that the first year. I'm sorry.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I remember.
I would have loved to have had something like that to practice and something to direct me to practice even more and to, challenge like that. But it's good to see it happening now. And
To
it's
feed
been
on
happening for
each
a while.
other.
Yeah, and Eric Koala was in that band too. There's a lot of guys
that's
that are
right.
around
That's right.
that kind of came up through that. And I've been involved with it for 27 years, so I can see these people come through the festival, and it's really inspiring.
Inspiring is a good word, because
yeah.
I really appreciate the opportunity to talk with you and hear about your experiences, and know, as you're saying, Mike, 27 years later, the Boscov's Berks Jazz Fest is offering this opportunity to all of us here, even if we're not musicians, to get out and expose yourself to that music live and in person. And when you're out there, look for the Berks horns. You never know which stage they're going to be on, playing with any number of surprise musicians, and you'll never know that they never played together before. You guys are really good. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for taking the time with us.
Thank you very much.
thanks for
Appreciate
having us.
it. All right. Bye-bye.